Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Greetings, everybody. Yes, they should hear you loud and clear. So, give me a quick second. Then we go. Chat says no. Beautiful. Greetings, everybody, ladies and gentlebeards. Welcome aboard to another session of DevTALK. Today, we're joined by the one and only, the beautiful Anders Elfgren, aka Srekel, or Srekel, if you want to have it in English. And together, we are presenting you Hammerting. So, Anders, maybe introduce yourself in a quick second. Who you are, what are you doing, who you're working for, or if Warpstone Studios is yours.
Sure. So my name is Anders, and I am one of the co-founders on at Warpzone, and I do mostly programming and some design. I stay away from like art, but other than that, I tend to, because I'm not very good at it. But other than that, I like to poke around at everything I can. Do you want me to go into like more details?
No, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. So, why did Warpstone Studios came up with the game Hammerting? Why dwarves? Why mining? Why all this dwarviness?
Well, it's a good question. So as I mentioned, I'm a co-founder, and I joined Warpzone about, I think, 9 months after it was started. So I wasn't there when sort of the idea was sort of conceived. But
Okay.
I think I think the core idea to do this kind of game was. I think that Linda and Frederick were the like original founders. They saw that there was this niche that was sort of unfilled, and that there are like a few of these types of games, but none that maybe none that are of sort of the level of quality that we were aspiring for. And that we could sort of maybe get there. So I think that's where it started, and I think they felt like this was a good starting start project for the studio as well. That it would be fairly like a simple game, right? To get get something shipped quickly. But as it turned out, it's actually I think it's grown a lot since their original idea, and it's become much larger than any of us has sort of anticipated. So it's not. It was a small idea from the beginning, but as it turned out, it was actually a lot bigger. And I think that's sort of maybe. It's sort of the way the market works in some sense nowadays. You have to sort of find a nice bracket to position yourself in when you're making games, like which type of game you're making and which type of player you're making it for, and if you want to really like sort of splash through the noise of game development, there are so many games being released every day. You really have to like make something unique. So it made like it can be pretty hard to like make a game in just like 1 hour, maybe just 1 year, and release that, because maybe then the quality won't be enough to actually like reach people's sort of eyes as they like browse through games. So there is like a quality level that you have to meet.
Totally inspired. I totally get that, because in 1 year, I don't think that you can. I mean, maybe if you're like a small project and bring out like a phone game or stuff like that, or have like a huge company with thousands of people, you might be able to squeeze something out in a year, but I don't see it realistically happen. So that's an interesting approach. Dushtala asked if we asked you, Rod, and we talked about your banjo already, and Mithril asked if Hammerting is inspired by Lemmings at all. It feels similar to playing that old game.
Yeah, I mean, I played Lemmings a lot back in the day, back on the Amiga. I don't know if I would say that Hammerting is inspired by it. I don't think that there's like anything we've sort of stolen from Lemmings as such, but I think to some degree all of these types of games with this perspective maybe has some amount of like. It's hard not to be inspired by Lemmings, if you make this type of game. But I don't think we will say that it's like directly inspired by it. There are a lot of games, or there are some games that I think we are similar to, but that still aren't maybe direct inspirations.
Okay, so you don't have like a direct influence from another game that you would say we kind of like that approach and tweaked that a little bit into our own style and went to having this kind of thing.
No, there are games that we've been inspired by, for sure. I think it's a little bit maybe different for different, for every developer on the team. So for my personal perspective, I think my personal major inspiration has been probably RimWorld. I've seen it as sort of like a RimWorld, but with dwarves as like a not a platformer, but like from a side point of view. But we've also looked a lot at like Factorio. It was actually sort of meant more to be like a Factorio-ish game from the start.
Okay.
And we're still gonna. We are planning to add automation stuff to the game, but it's not as core as we maybe thought it would be from the start. Let me think if there are. I mean, there are like very similar games, or there are games that are quite similar, like Oxygen Not Included and Craft the World. A lot of people think that it's like, oh, this is just like Craft the World, and some even think like it's a rip-off almost of Craft the World, which is like, I think that's. Sorry. I think if you have played Craft the World a lot and then look at Hammerting, you might think that it's like, oh my god, these people just copied this game.
Actually, I've never heard of Craft the World, so
I think most. I don't think any of us have really played that game for a lot. I've played it like for maybe a couple of hours.
Okay.
And that after I started working on Hammerting, and that was sort of more of like a research type thing. You want to like check what other games are doing in the same genre, just to like get a feel for what you might be inspired by, or what you might want to change and so on. But I think both that and Oxygen Not Included are games that we have played a little bit, but maybe not super much. I think Björn, our designer, has played, or our main designer has played quite a lot of Oxygen Not Included. There's also a game called Wiggles or Diggles. I don't know if you've heard of that game.
Never heard of that. Wiggles.
Yeah, it's a game. I think it's from the like maybe late 90s or 2000s. Yeah, exactly. It's Sparia.
Digglies, Polish game.
Digglies, yeah. It's called Diggles in Poland, I think, and Wiggles in like Germany and other.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. But okay, I get the link there between similar kind of styles. And here's the question that I have. Besides, after we go into that banjo thing, what the audience apparently is very interested in. is why the vertical approach? Is like easier to have an overview about what you're doing with your dwarfs, or was it like a game design or maybe a resource design that you got ahead? Why not, as you mentioned, Rimworld, for example, a top-down thing, or an 3D approach, maybe even?
Well, I think it's sort of given. I mean, the verticality thing. I think that's just such a given thing based on that it is dwarves, and that I don't know if this if we have mentioned this sort of officially. I think we probably may have done at some point. But the original working title for the game was They Delved Too Deep, as in Lord of the Rings. So
quick question in between. Is there some Balrog-ish thing if you dig too deep?
There is not yet, but we would like to add like bosses and like really hardcore monsters. But we haven't had time to do that yet. But that would be super sweet. So I mean, the idea from the beginning has always been that you're dwarves and you're digging and you're going down to find cool stuff and like dangerous monsters, right? And with that sort of premise, you can't really have a top-down approach. Like we could have done like or like had we done like full 3D. I think there's a couple of problems with that. One is that it's much more resource intensive, like actually producing art and like all of that sort of stuff is much harder if you do like a sort of full 3D game. Even if our game is I mean it is 3D, but like if it were to actually be like if the cave had proper depth in that level, that would mean a lot more work for like artists and that kind of
Definitely. That's why the question was, it like probably then an approach because of the time that you have to dig into development and of course everything else to make this whole game playable. So Chad, you have the chance to grab a free copy of this game. All you have to do is follow this very simple giveaway rules so the bot can pick you up. We're giving away a copy of Dwarfheim, thanks to Anders, and you can use your channel points to be named in the game after Dwarf if you want to. And now talking of the game, what is the goal of it? What is like what you try to accomplish in Dwarfheim? In Hammerting, my bad.
You mean as a player?
As a player, exactly.
In the version you're playing right now, I think there's only one win condition. So there's like one explicit win condition, and that is that on the overworld, there are two sort of battling forces, and you can help one of the sides, the good side, so to speak, to win over the bad side. And if the good side wins, then you win as well. That is changing quite a lot in actually this next update.
Do we get any intel of what is to come?
Sure. We are actually. I can't promise exactly when it'll happen, but I would like to say this week, but that might be optimistic. But I hope at least early next week we will have a new update for our experimental testers. I hope that would be really nice. So it's not that far away, and we do tend to post screenshots and stuff in our update channel. So there is a bit of a sneak preview if you are in our Discord. What we're doing is basically rewriting the whole overworld from scratch, because we weren't like super happy with how it turned out, and it was sort of basic implementation that didn't. It doesn't really match well with the rest of the game.
Okay.
So we're taking a large stab at improving that.
I see. So, understanding that you are kind of helping and digging for resources to help the battle that's going on the overmap, is there maybe later on the chance that you will actively send out dwarves to the overmap and participate in this fighting up there?
Yes, that is something that. So I can't promise right now exactly what will be in this the next update because that is still a little bit up in the air. But you can already send out dwarves onto the overmap to do trade missions. So they will actually go onto the map and go to nearby villages and such and trade.
I see. So I'm now very curious because I'm guessing some of the people who are asking about the banjos are mods in the Discord or people who are knowing you. Is there something something special about that banjo story? If you want to answer that, you don't have to.
No. It's more like it's like an inside joke in the Discord that we have a member whose name is Jeff, and he's been with us from almost the very beginning. I think, very soon after we sort of started working on the game, he joined us. So he's been like on our Discord since the very beginning. He's the reason why one of our channels is called Jeff is Awesome. And he adamantly hates banjos. So of course it's sort of become a meme for everyone else to post as many banjo memes as possible.
I see. That's actually rude. So now in the game, being here, I get that you have like dwarves that are gaining skills as they do something. I see here that they have specific levels of experience that they're getting. There's even a talents tree that you can specify your dwarf in. As a player now, can your dwarf unlock everything, or do you actually have to think exactly what are you giving this dwarf of a skill tree?
I think right now, if you just play long enough, a dwarf can. I don't think we have a level cap, so I think you can get all of the talents.
Just confirms. yeah, it's all good. Chat is there for you.
Yeah, but get what? We don't talk about the incidents. I thought you knew that. Yeah, so I think talents you can, in theory, get all of them, but then your dwarf will have to be like quite high level. And we did add, I think, 10 new talents or something in the latest patch. So I think it's becoming harder and harder to like get all of the talents, and you sort of have to more pick which ones are the more the better ones for that dwarf specifically.
So
yeah,
what
like Barry says, I think you need like a level 120 dwarf or something, which you can get if you just play for I don't know how many hours, but probably like maybe 10 hours or something, and you can get a dwarf that good.
Wow. I'm blown away by all these little details and stuff that you can craft, and really enjoying this in-depth actually of material arc that you have for creating stuff and building things. So from you as working on this game, is there any beginner tips, tricks, what we should focus on at the start of the game to do without dwarf and not get... I'm guessing there is like creatures in the dark that might come and try to eat you.
Yes, yeah, there are a few things that are like, good to know for a beginner. One thing is, as you sort of realized, is that the cave is full of creatures that might not want you only good things. And the way that it works, I don't think I'm spoiling any magic by saying this, is that they will spawn in areas that are sort of in fog of war. If you saw that, like either the dark area, that's what we call unexplored, or in the gray area. I think maybe if you go to the right, you can see that.
To the right,
where
that
you-
gray area.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, where you don't have any lights, they will spawn in that area. So if you want to sort of protect yourself against enemies, you can put out lamp posts, and that will sort of scare the monsters away, in some sense. So that might be good to know. Although I think currently, at least, at least people are saying in our Discord, but of course our players are like expert players. They are saying that the game is quite easy right now. So I don't think, maybe you don't need to think too hard about that at the moment, but it is certainly, I mean, balancing the game is like an ongoing effort.
Definitely. What I love here, and no, Srekel is not coming to eat your kids at night. What I love here is that your dwarves have like a persona. They have different skills and levels in all kinds of areas, and they have some sort of attributes. As this one is, for example, proud, gives him more favor that makes him having a higher life, I guess, because it's like a hard thing. But his maximum roll is less, and he had machine accidents that makes him a little bit deafness and less robust. I love it. I love stuff like that. That gives like a little bit of a background story.
Actually, when I recruit a dwarf, those traits are the thing I look at the most, I think. Because some traits can be really, really bad, and that can really sort of, and some can be really good, and that can pay off quite a lot in the long term. I don't know if our players agree with that, because like, you know, our players that are in our Discord and so on, they are much better at the game than I am.
I always say if a game developer is better than his player base, then they did something wrong in game development.
Barry here says recruiting dwarves. Lol. Barry is kind of crazy. He just recorded a video. I think he beat the game in under 2 hours with just 3 dwarves.
Okay.
I don't know how he did that. I didn't know that was possible. But I guess like once you learn the ins and outs of the games, 1 hour 40 minutes. I think probably that will like as the game progresses with more and more content, and I think especially maybe with the new overworld, that probably won't be possible anymore, or at least it will be harder. But it is fun to see people actually like being able to sort of speedrun the game in some sense.
And I can see we picked here a normal map. And the normal map is already, when I scroll out, enormous in all sides.
Yes, it's quite big. And that is so that you kind of always have a choice where to go and where to explore, and you don't really feel like you're in a mountain and you're just bumping into walls all the time, like into like literal walls where you can't go. It's supposed to feel fairly. You're sort of supposed to be able to play the game without getting stopped by hitting a wall. I think a lot of, or some of our like Discord players are like posting images of how they mine out the entire map. I mean, that's possible, but I don't think it's like it's not exactly the optimal way to play the game.
It's not a necessity. And you talked about the game goal here is to help the overworld war to go on and actually win. We just see here this mechanic. And will it always be only that you are sending them resources, or will there also be, as I asked previously, that you actually take a group of dwarf and send them out into the overworld and command them on the map outside to attack with the others together, doing whatever?
We would like to add at least caravans, so that you can like put together a group of dwarves. And we have talked about actually attacking other locations with the dwarves themselves. I don't think either of those are going to be in this overworld update. I think that's a bit sort of too much to chew this time.
Okay.
But you are going to at least be able, you will be able to send out dwarves onto the overmap, but only for trading.
Oh, okay. So because I previously played it for a quick moment to get a little bit of a hang around what we're doing here, and not to be bugging you the whole time. Is okay, how do I do this and how do I do that? Is I ran into a shortage of wood, for example, and I think having overworld trading right away to help you out in that dilemma might be a cool thing.
Yeah, so that is, I think that's one of the major things that people have asked during the since the release of Hammerting. Is how do you get more lumber? And when you know how to do it, it's actually quite easy, but it's a bit hidden. So that is something that will become a little bit more straightforward. I think you could say with the new overworld, you will actually be able to find lumber mills and so on the overworld, and you can trade with them directly, and a lumber mill will have lumber for you. So as long as you can provide them with what they need, without so currently that is sort of how it works, but it's sort of locked behind a mission structure. So you need to do a few missions before that happens.
Okay.
And some people don't really recognize that. That you have to complete. I think it's maybe 3 missions or something before, or maybe 4 missions before you can start trading for lumber. And people run out of lumber before they sort of get to that point.
I see. As Barry said, no wood, way too much wood.
So Karen is asking, he or she is asking about getting bone ash, and we are. Linda has added. I think she's added so that a lot more of the creatures that you meet in the cave, they do drop bones of different kinds. She's also added more things to do with bones. So I think it should be a more balanced approach now. Because I think after lumber, bone ash or bones are the things that people tend to complain about. So that is also getting sort of a bit of a boost, which is nice.
Okay, but from what do you get bone ash, for example, at the moment?
Right now, the best, in the patch that you're playing, the best way I think to get bone ash is to, well, there are 2 ways, but the primary one I would say is to find what is it called? A graveyard. I think it's called maybe something else as well, or it has a fancier word, I think.
Wait, is graveyards underneath, like ruins from former dwarves or something like that?
No, it's actually a necromancer-ish type graveyard that will spawn skeletons that attack you.
Oh,
and skeletons drop bones.
Oh.
So, and if you go to
so the game Raider.
The game has different biomes. I don't know if you realize that, but you start out in the in the Dawnlit Caverns. If you put the mouse somewhere like just on the cave.
Just on a cave?
Oh wait, maybe. Oh, this won't be visible to maybe some of the viewers, but.
The great entrance.
No, sorry, like on the map, or also on like over. Yes, but where you have vision.
Okay, where I have vision, it says
like
Dawnlit Caverns.
Yes, so it says Dawnlit Caverns, and there are 5 biomes in the game right now, I want to say, and there's one called Dire Tunnels, and I think Dire Tunnels especially has a lot of graveyards and skeletons. So if you want bones, you can try to find a Dire Tunnel biome, and hopefully you will be able to get more bones from that. I think that is something that we want to emphasize more and more, that I think it is nice that you can sort of run out of or have lack a specific resource, but I also want there to be like a clear thing that you can do to actually get that resource. So and it might be like bones in one game session, and then you're like, okay, I need to find a Dire Tunnel biome, but in another playthrough you might be like looking for, I don't know, maybe a lot of mushrooms, for example.
So is there a possibility that some biomes will not be in your map when you do that?
I don't. I think we're quite a bit away from that, because right now we have 5 biomes, and that is how should I put it? It's
I know what you mean.
I think if we want to like have enough biomes that we can sort of afford not to spawn some biomes, I think we would have to have like 10 biomes maybe, or something like that. But I think that's quite a bit into the future. So for now, I think you can safely assume that we will have all biomes on a map.
Talking of biomes, right now, we found here some sort of huge dwarven statue. Oh my god, it looks massive. What can you do with that?
So there's actually, if you look in the top bar up to the left,
yeah,
the UI, do you see that?
Yeah.
On the rightmost value there,
Sovereign.
it's called Dwarves and Sovereignty. So the way that this works is that you start with 5 points of sovereignty, and for each point of sovereignty you can have 1 dwarf in your colony. And you can increase your sovereignty either by researching a few different things, or by finding these dwarven statues. If you mouse over the statue, it will actually say in the tooltip that
exactly.
it gives you +1 sovereignty.
Exactly. Masterful cut from stone, this statue tells tales of eons that even the mountains have forgotten. Amazing.
You asked before about tips to new players, and
yeah.
I have my personal thing that I almost do immediately when I start playing is, and you're sort of you're close to doing it, but not quite. So you see the profession list here. Whoop whoop. And that's me, I guess. The profession list here in the UI.
Yeah.
The dwarf UI. You can actually both left and right click this. I think maybe you right click.
Oh, like tell him to specifically do that thing.
Yes, or so. The most useful one of this is to simply disable jobs. So what I tend to do is I tend to look at what a dwarf is or will be good at, depending on their talents and so on, and disable all of the other stuff, maybe except for like hauling and mining. And then I just go through my dwarves and do that, and ensure that I have like one dwarf that can do all of like one dwarf for all of the core sort of professions, like stonemasonry, smithy, and foundry, or metallurgy, are the ones I tend to care about in the beginning. So that would be like my number one tip for sort of.
Okay, so like disable stuff that you're not good at and focus with that dwarves of something else. Also, who came up with the idea of having this military American style here with no beard on a dwarf? That is heresy. Also, I'm sorry that I named him after you.
So actually, if you look at that dwarf, you can see that their portraits are more sort of dwarvy. They're the 2D portraits.
Yeah.
And you can see that the portrait doesn't really match the in-game character that much. And this is something that we will want to improve.
Okay, because the portrait has boobs and that character definitely does not.
Yeah, that actually doesn't look very female, but I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe that's why she doesn't have a beard. I'm not sure.
Oh, that makes sense. So you're going for the approach that dwarf ladies have no beard, and not like Lord of the Rings that everybody has a beard, even the ladies.
I don't remember if we've. I think. I don't remember exactly what we said. I think maybe dwarven or female dwarves may have beards, but they aren't really guaranteed to. But I think male dwarves will always have beards.
That's actually interesting. Will you later on also open up to Steam Workshop so people can like bring in their own skins and modify and play around and fool around with the game?
That is definitely something that we want to do. We have, I don't know if you know that, but the game uses an in-house engine. So we don't use like Unity or Unreal or anything. It's totally our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the goals has been to, in the end, be able to support modding for the game. So that is definitely something that we want to do. I know as both like a RimWorld player and a Skyrim player that mods can take a game from like really good to totally amazing.
Yeah, I mean, modability is like the long livability of a game. If a game is very moddable and you have the luck that people enjoy the base mechanics and just want to implement all kinds of craziness into it, this is like giving it the boost to actually kind of never die. I mean, as you brought up Skyrim, it is still played like crazy from people because of that exact feature, that they're just modding the hell out of the game and making the experience however they want it to have.
Yeah, I think modding is it's so good. Yeah, exactly. You will be able to give beards to the lady dwarves if that's really important to you.
Or just be a lady dwarf, a Sezaku.
So I mean, that's something that we really want to do. It's mostly like we need to take a serious technical stab at it, and we need to like add tools and stuff to it as well, because it's not really like you can actually make mods for the game, but it's just like if you don't have the tools or documentation, it's really hard to like figure out. So we need to put in some effort to be able to actually call it moddable. But our artists, they actually do work on the game as though they were modders, you could say.
Okay, so they like try to make some sort of coding that later on, when it's done, it's easier for people to give their access to, hey, mod our game as you want to. What the hell? The dwarf is raised by wolves? we'll grab him. It would be fun if they have stuff like that and they actually behave like he's raised by wolves, like interacting with is interaction between dwarves a thing? Will that come up, like them having a downtime and hanging out somewhere, eating a meal, like for example in RimWorld, and have like how do you call it in English? A relationship kind of thing, like become friends or maybe even become partners and make little baby dwarves. A weird dwarf.
So, yeah. So with the new overworld, we are adding like an relationship system. So there will be like So there are a number of factions on the overworld, and they have different relations to each other that are sort of dynamic, and they are affected by various things. And we will be using the same underlying system for dwarves as well. So we are planning to add like a relationship system for the dwarves. We are also, something that we want to do quite a lot is to make the tavern feel more like a tavern.
So wait, there's a tavern in the game? I saw there's like a huge tier knowledgeable thing going on here that you unlock as you explore the mountain more. I from what I heard, the mountain lore you get by exploring the mountain and sending your dwarves around. And the trade lore is by, I'm guessing, making trades and completing missions with the top world.
Yeah.
And do we will see even more complex stuff going on here, like more stuff to research and maybe even, I mean, I'm not sure how far this lore thing goes because I played only like the beginning 2 tiers to get a little bit of a hang about the game.
I mean, yeah, we want to add more and more research for sure. And I think every update we tend to add a few of them, depending on other stuff that we put in the game. So, like the previous feature update was fluids, and when we added fluids to the game, we also added a lot of new like tavern recipes and all of that stuff, and like research to go with that, so to speak.
Tavern recipes and research sounds like different recipes of mead.
Yeah, I think there are like 9 different kinds of drinks you can craft, like mead and various drinks that you need the right sort of resource to craft them.
Oh, look at Srekel. I didn't know that your dwarf is like a huge climber. I thought we might have to put a ladder up here, but you just climbed up there like piece of cake. Oh, what the hell did you find here? Blood.
Yeah,
the shroom of death.
The dwarves are fairly agile, and that's like they can.
Agile dwarves?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe people don't think of dwarves as particularly agile.
I mean, they're agile for short distances, as Gimli said.
Yeah, but I think in order for this game to work, they have to be agile. Like they have to be able to jump across cliffs and climb up and down a lot. It wouldn't really work well otherwise.
Is there a chance that a dwarf doesn't make the jump and just slips and dies and falls off?
Not at the moment. I think that would be fun. It would be fun to have like a clumsy trait or something.
Yeah, or a chance to like slip as they climb down or something like that. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, but we haven't really been able to add that kind of thing. I mean, partly of course just because it takes time, but partly also because the dwarves sometimes sort of fall when they shouldn't fall, and that can be a bit aggravating for the player. Like sometimes they will be digging away a tile, and they won't like consider that there is another dwarf standing on top of that tile. So they'll like dig that away, and the other dwarf will fall away.
Or did they just didn't like it? If we come back to socializing between dwarves and they see the other dwarf as a rival for their fame and glory and getting riches and whatnot, and be like, okay, you're standing on a fragile tile. Just dig that tile beneath your way. And be like, it was a work accident. I'm sorry. Boindale is not coming with me.
Actually, that would be like... I mean, when we have the relationship system, that would be a fun thing to add. I think that would certainly, like it's always fun when different like values in the game, when they produce different mechanics and not just like different like numbers that go up and down, but they actually produce different behavior and such. But of course, that is also more sort of time-consuming to add. But I really like that idea, actually. That, you know, if you don't like a dwarf, you don't care if he or she is standing on top of a tile that you're digging away. But if you do like them, then you just won't dig there. That's actually fun.
I mean, that's like a complexity level to bring it into, as we just had before said in let's bring Rimworld again, to have this socializing thing, and I know it just brings more life into this whole kind of lay back, watch your colony grow, and see your dwarves evolve and make more stuff and happening, and then see them socialize, maybe even form clans in between there. I mean, I'm not sure how many dwarves you can bring and get, but maybe even they're starting to have their smith cast, and they're starting to have their worker cast, and then they're like calling with each other who has the bigger balls, or my English, pardon my English, and be like, now we're the bosses here, and then they have like a tavern fight and toss around meat, and the winner out of it will be the sovereign or the king of the hill for the next period of time, until the next election or until the next bar fight.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. I think one thing that we...
Welcome, Izzy. Welcome, Darima. Hello, Chad.
That we need to solve for the dwarf relations is, like, how do we deal with when the dwarves are sort of far away from each other all the time? Because I think as you progress through the map, it's not, you know, in like Rimworld, you are sort of contained to like your home base, and the dwarves are all sort of at one point or another meeting each other. But in Hammerting, your dwarves could be like in 3 completely separate parts of the map, and almost never run into each other. So that might be a problem for us, but I guess we'll have to
here comes
think about that when we're
the idea that comes up into my head. As you said, he's like on a separate compartment alone, working and doing stuff. Have you played Dragon Age, the first one?
A long time ago. Yeah, the first one I played a long time.
There is a scene where you meet a dwarf who had no social contact for a long time, and he's like somehow like a golem kind of dwarf, very like, who are you? And very untrustworthy and a little bit wonkers, and talk to himself in like having multiple personas in his head because he was lonely and started to create characters to talk to in his head.
Yeah, that would be like we could have like a meter that said like, or like a status bar that like how long has it been since you actually talked to a fellow dwarf, and
like a
depending
sanity
on
thing.
like,
Yeah.
where that was, you could influence them somehow. That would be fun.
Definitely, I see high potential on this because, again, talking about Rimworld, having stuff like this with the modability tool and playing it out, and especially because you can rename your dwarf to fellow friends and whatnot, and just fool around and see how long they will survive, or what foolish deeds or work accidents they will not live anymore.
Sorry, what was the question?
No, I said only that it has high potential for a lot of success and playability. That's what I see.
I mean,
here.
I I think we've like basically only started to scratch what will like ultimately be the complete feature set and content set for the game. I think there's so much that we want to add.
Smash ups.
And I think modders as well, they can just they'll be able to go crazy with this once we release tools and such. But I don't want to promise when that will happen, because that is we have a lot of stuff to do first.
Don't promise anything that you can't see exactly when it's gonna happen. Most important question, as a fellow dwarf lover, is there a possibility to bash some elves? Will you at some points meet elves and have the possibility to like pull their ears?
Well, in some sense, yeah, I think you will be able to do that with the new overworld. It's no longer really the case of like good versus evil. It's more like all of the factions are sort of tending or fending for themselves. And if you don't like the elves, you can essentially just mistreat them, or rather treat everyone much better, and probably...
You had me at that sentence. If I would have not bought this game before, I would have bought it now. Sorry for any other elven lover out there.
Yeah, so like presumably or hopefully, like if you, let's say that the elves are near the dwarves, near the orcs or something on the overworld map, then if you like trade with the orcs and make them sort of prosperous, then they will probably at one point or another go and attack the elves. And maybe like if that makes you happy, then that's good.
Very fun. Will at some point also influence from the overworld come into your mind thing, like traders coming through the entrance of your dwarven thing, or maybe I know, as in force of I'm just having the battle of the 7 armies, or was it 5 armies from the Hobbits in my head, where just a bunch of dwarves defending the entrance of the Lonely Mountain. Will there stuff like that also be happening? That you, I mean, maybe that's like an idea for a DLC to improve your mountain outside the defenses, and when it comes to a battle, you'd like move to another map and have like, I know, maybe a mini tower defense game going on.
I think we actually discussed this like today or yesterday. I don't think that will be in this overworld update, because it's a bit of a larger feature. But it would be nice if you are at sort of a let's say you have a bad relationship with the elves, maybe on the overworld.
The poor elves.
And they do still become quite powerful, because the overworld is quite dynamic, and a lot of stuff happens like that are outside of your control. So let's say that the elves do become quite powerful and they really dislike you. What we want to do then is to make it possible for them to attack you, basically, and attack the cave.
Okay.
But that is most likely or almost guaranteed not to be in the in this overworld update.
Yeah, we're not talking about right now. We're talking about in general, if that might be an idea. Here's a quick question from my side. What is the difference between a small stone bridge and a small stone walk bridge? Is it like only the one end and the other to make it like?
No, you are not the first person to ask this. It's so. Do you know that you can build elevators?
Elevators? I did not know. I did just build some stairs to move them up and down.
Yeah, so a bit further on you will be able to build elevators.
Ooh.
And elevators are sort of transported by a rail that goes on the back of the wall, so to speak. And the difference between the small stone bridge and the walk bridge is that the walk bridge can sort of cross over, or they can exist on the same space as the rail bridge or the elevator rails. So you can have you can have elevators that's going like this, and you can have a walk bridge like this, so the dwarves can walk past. I think it was we made it in maybe a little bit of a rush, so the art isn't super clear, and maybe neither is the descriptions. So a lot of people are a bit confused about this.
All good, all good. Once you have the info, it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So as you can see here, as we progress, we have a few homes already. One for Razi, one for Darunima. We'll are on the work one for yourself that we're gonna do here. Is there what does this home thing bring? Are they like collecting and hoarding loot there? As I can see, they have like a little beautiful picture. It looks charming.
Yeah, so the mechanic right now, and we want to expand the mechanic of the dwelling, but right now, the way it works is if you click on a dwarf, you can probably see, if you look at the coins there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's carrying 67 coins, right?
Exactly.
And the way that it works is, do you see the greed bar there? When the greed bar goes down, they are sort of feeling the need to get more money, and what they will do is they will actually go and take some money from the mountain home. So you see right now we have like 1 silver and I can't see, but like 2 copper or something.
1 silver and 67 copper.
67, yeah. So they will go and take that money for themselves.
Bastards.
And they can right now they can only carry 1 silver in total, or 100 copper. And once they are sort of full, they will go to their own dwelling and deliver that. And if you don't have a dwelling, they will essentially never be able to drop off their coin, and so they won't be able to pick up coin, and then they will be very, very unhappy.
I see. So yeah, short or longer, you will have to deliver them a place to stay. I see.
Exactly.
He's a good farmer. Let's give him more farming points. That's actually so charming. I can see myself losing a bazillion hours in this. I don't even dare to open up my as we talked before, RimWorld's hour play on that. It's like probably around 1,000 hours. But I can. This is in some sort kind of therapeutical, as in trying to create all this. Is there rune magic in the game? Can dwarves create runes and enhance their tools of work or their weapons against whatever creatures?
No, but that is it's just because we haven't had the time to add it. I think we would like to add that as sort of a way to make like extra powerful weapons, or like a super blacksmith hammer or something. Or maybe like even for a special overworld mission, it would be cool if someone requested like a very specific type of item, and you have to like put the right rune and everything on it. That would be cool. But we don't have that yet.
Talking of updates and whatnot, when do you think will be the full release of Hammerting?
I don't think we are ready to say that just yet, unfortunately. But we do have a roadmap on our Steam page, and that is like that is what we are at least planning on doing for early access.
Amazing. Talking of Steam page, guys, here it is. Go check out Hammerting House. Also, put it on your wish list if you enjoy what you see here so far. And also, feel free to ask any question directly in chat towards Anders, except of any banjo and Jeffiness, because that is like insider stuff that no one has a clue of, except of you. So as you progress, we are starting here right now, as I see, in Copper Age. Will there be like later on Iron, Metal? What will be the next step after that resource?
Yep. So depending, it's a little bit luck dependent, but probably you're not that far off from finding iron. If you look around, you may already have found it somewhere.
Copper. Copper. No, so far only copper. Maybe at the Shroom Doom over here. Nope, also just copper. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4 and some sapphire crab. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think our 6 dwarfs are strong enough to take on the fight and butcher those things into oblivion?
I think so. If they don't, you can always retreat. Hopefully.
Let's go and check it out, everybody. Run down there. Ilyavi asks, is there a possibility that you have to find some Balrog-X creature because you were too greedy and dug too deep?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we would like to add like really large monsters and so on. Like a Balrog, I don't know if Balrog is like a copyrighted term or like a thing or not, but we definitely want to add like really big stuff. That would be super cool, I think. Personally, I've looked forward to making combat much more fun and interesting for a long time. It's been one of my sort of pet goals with the game. It's just that other stuff has sort of taken precedence. And yes, Vandor, they do spawn. Enemies do spawn in unexplored and in fog of war areas. So if you want to protect your base, make sure to sort of light it up.
That's all? That's all you need for defenses? Just have light? I mean,
well,
you need lumber for it, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, if you do light it up, yes, they won't spawn and attack. But I mean, as soon as you actually do expand, like as soon as you start placing buildings and such that are sort of that are a bit further away, then you will need to protect them. So you can't like just stay within your own home base forever, unless I guess maybe Barry can, because maybe that's just how he plays the game.
Oh, poor Srekel had hit too many blobs. Apparently he's running home. Will they automatically go for healing stuff, or do you have like to have a specific healer to treat them and whatnot?
Yeah, if you have healing items, they will use them. Boom. There you go.
There we go. Will that thing respawn if you don't have like a light source over there, or is this like, okay, you fought this off, you're done, you can move on?
Yes, no, it won't respawn, and once it is like in this destroyed state, it won't spawn any more enemies.
So you said that the dwarves can leap and jump? Let's see. Apparently not. What the hell is
not
this here?
that far maybe, but they can jump over smaller jumps they can definitely climb. I think if you can you dig away the thing that's like sticking out at the left there?
This one?
No, up, down a little bit. This one. Can you reach that and dig that away?
Let's give it a try. Can I specifically tell him to do that digging?
No. No. Okay, I guess he can't reach it then. So they can jump over sort of cliffs that are too far, like have a distance of 2, but probably not 3, I guess.
I see. We'll just let them make then a bridge over here.
That is also something that I would like to improve in the future, so that like different dwarfs can have different movement sets. So that you could have like a really agile dwarf or a clumsy dwarf, and like maybe a clumsy dwarf can't jump at all, or an agile dwarf can like climb and jump much further than another dwarf. I think that would be kind of fun.
Vander asks, there is automation in roadmap. Can you explain that a bit? What is the idea behind it?
Yep. So part of it is things that we have sort of already added. Things that just make the game make it so that you don't have to like micromanage everything. Like we've added maintain amount and so on. Previously, you did have to sort of keep tabs on everything and just you had to do like a lot of unnecessary clicking. So that's one thing that's one type of automation that we have worked on and will sort of continue to work on. But we will also want to work on, or we will also work on, I should say. What I think most people think when they hear about automation, and exactly what I won't promise, but it will be things like more improved mining carts and elevators that can sort of maybe you can have like a mining cart that can go on top of an elevator and go somewhere, and you can like fill up a mining cart in one place and it will go to another location and deliver it there. Conveyor belts would be super nice as well.
Factory feelings there.
Yeah, pumping fluids, something that we've talked about. So you can have like you can find a lava lake and you can properly like pump that up with like tubes, series of tubes to like your foundry and that sort of thing. We also talked a little bit about maybe some simple kind of power mechanic. I'm not sure if we've decided if it should be like steam or crystal based or exactly how that will work, but I think it would be nice if you needed to provide power to some things as well. I think that is that will make more sense when we do have things like automation and stuff. Nuclear, right?
Nuclear. Factory Megabase confirmed. I see. That's actually a good idea. I think you could go for either, as you said, Steam thing, or maybe even rune-based, like the dwarves having like magical runes for like working with some, or maybe liquids, as in special energized liquids. I know if you smelt down mithril or something like that, that comes into my mind.
What was the specific question?
For empowering or having power, as you said, for conveyor belts and whatnot. What kind of power source? You said maybe steam, maybe some energy stuff, and I thought of maybe just rune magic.
Yeah, that could be something for sure.
Because I saw that there's what was it? The learning thing where they kind of learning scripts and whatnot. Maybe combine it with that they're also learning or gathering power, magical power for rune smithing and rune stuff, and therefore be able to power up things that work. Because in a lot of dwarven fantasy things, you see runes of dwarves activating, doors opening. Just simple example, the dwarf of Moria, when they're standing in front of it and just say the word melon and it just automatically opens.
Yeah. I think maybe like I'm just speculating, but I think maybe runes would be better as like a like a logic device rather than like a power device. So you would use the runes as sort of like a like how you can program stuff in Minecraft.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So you can, like you said, have a rune that is connected to a dwarf, to a door, and then you could have another rune that is like, if I detect enemies, I will send a signal to this other rune to close, or something like that. That would be kind of cool.
That's actually really amazing, really amazing. Vander asks, how many dwarves would you recommend for the late game part?
Yeah, like I said, Barry beats this game with 3 to 8, he says. I think the game right now, I think it caps out at like, I think maybe 30 dwarves or something like that. 30 to 40 maybe. And you don't have to have all of the dwarves. Like, you don't have to sort of use all of the dwarves.
Well, one of the community showed that he's beating the game with 3 dwarves.
Yeah. I think right now, probably, I would guess maybe around 20 is a good number. It really depends on your playstyle. 15 might be a little bit nicer. It allows you maybe to keep a little bit more of a personal tab on them. Once you go like past 20, I think that becomes quite hard. But I think this is something that we want to, as the game progresses, I think we will end up in with a game that where more dwarves are sort of needed. Like maybe you have a guard station.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like guarded by 3 dwarves or something like that. Instead of because right now the dwarves are sort of a little bit more
running around and doing what they want.
Yeah, exactly. But there are a lot of stuff that we need to add before that can happen. Like combat needs to be more balanced and more interesting and all of that stuff. Exploration needs to be more interesting as well. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, I think, before that becomes a thing, really.
So I would say, chat, if you have any questions still in your hand popping around as of the current build, maybe future ideas or thing, now is your chance to bring them in, so we can also release Anders from our clutches and crutches of asking holes into his stomach. Force asks, how big an area does the playable zone cover?
Yeah, so if you zoom out...
Yeah. Holy shit, that's
I think it's a little bit hard to know just from this, but I think if you know sort of the explored width that you have there, I think it's probably maybe 3 or 3 to 4 times as wide as that, maybe 3 times, or 4, yeah, probably 4 times as wide as you have already explored, and then sort of just as wide, just as deep as it is wide.
Holy moly, that's actually a lot. Do you?
It's something like that.
Do you plan for later on to maybe make it even bigger, as you said that there might come some great big monsters that you might have to or accidentally dig up as you go down?
I think we'll see what a good size for the map turns out to be. So 4 assets again, and right now the default map is 1,000 by 1,000.
Oof.
Of each of these, like map box, and it's yeah, it really depends on how the game progresses. I think I mean personally, I think it would be nice if the default map was even larger and if the game supported that, but I don't think it quite supports that just yet. But I think that would be it would be super nice, but I think that may be I'm not sure if we'll be able to make that happen. So I think the size that we have right now is probably what we will have for quite a while, at least, I would say, as the default size. So the next question is, if you start to lose the war, can you be attacked directly, or do you just lose? You cannot be attacked directly at the moment. We would like to add this. We talked about this briefly earlier, but that will come sometime down the line. That would be nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So,
wait, I will just say that in the new overworld update, you won't be able to lose. I don't think so. At least you won't be able to lose based on what's going on the overworld. Like, at least for this update, there won't be like a losing condition tied to the overworld in that sense.
Interesting. But I like the way that you are able to influence whatever's happening on the overworld, and therefore maybe have a playthrough where, I don't know, the orcs are winning and taking everything over, or whatever faction you are supporting up there. And that's actually a cool idea. Cool ideas. I will definitely wrap up my head around it and also drop from our talk here that we had. And of course, if chat and the community comes up with more stuff, I will bombard you with ideas for stuff to add into the game and have in there. And I will definitely keep a good eye on this. We will very often jump back and explore more and more of Hammerting and see where this whole story goes. There we go. Now that dude was able to jump over there. I see.
Yep.
So, Anders, I would say, Iliavi, yeah, baby dwarves have beards. They come with beards on the world. That's how everyone knows that. Baby dwarves are born with beards. And I thank you highly for joining on this in this session. I will edit this out of the live stream, give you the footage if you want to use it as a feedback for you guys, or maybe show it to the team if some good ideas popped in here. And thank you kindly for joining. I hope you will have
it was fun.
A wonderful, wonderful night. We will... do you want to pick a winner for the key, or shall we, the bot, have the winner picked?
I think a bot can do it.
Okay, let's pick a lucky winner here, and all you have to do, guys, is type the word loot in chat to join right now. Just type the word LOOT. Make sure that you are following the channel so the bot can pick you up. Otherwise, he will not be able to pick your name up. and then we'll see who will win this. And I will let you know if your dwarven character in here will survive this whole run. What will become of him? I will send you a screenshot of his glorious deeds, or if you found a lucky potion to suddenly get some beard. And let's see, energetic and driven. Does that meet your persona?
My personal, let's see, energetic and driven. I think I would like to call myself quite driven. Energetic, I guess maybe that depends on your definition of energetic, but driven, I would definitely say that I am.
That's amazing. And with that, I wish you, Anders, a wonderful, wonderful time. Great time with the fam. Thanks for taking time and joining on this. I hope you had a great time. And
yeah, it was fun.
Let's. Oh, yeah, exactly. Before you go, let's see who's winning this beautiful copy. Kieran, message me on Discord. I will send you over a copy of Hammerting. And Anders, have a great night. And we'll talk more on Discord.
Likewise, yes. And can I just say, if people want to, they can join our Discord.
Definitely.
It's quite nice.
Definitely. If you have anybody, drop in there the Discord link in chat right now.
Sure, I can do that.
And I'm sure they will find the link to the Discord also on your Steam page. Here, go check out Hammerting. Please whitelist it. Give them your support and feedback. I think this vertical... Wait, how do you call it? A vertical dwarven mining colony sim. Oh my god,
yes.
It's like a tongue breaker.
It's a very mouthful.
But great potential. I like it. And we'll give it here half an hour to an hour more and fool around a little bit and see where our journey goes with us. And then I can wait for one day. Do you think this year will a full release happen, or do you plan for 2022? Or is it too early to understand?
I hope it's this year, but I can't promise.
Gotcha. And with that, Anders, have a great night. Thank you kindly.
Yep. Bye-bye.